Hey guys, how is everybody doing? And welcome back to my Christopher Nolan review series. We're almost at the end. We got two more, including this one, so two. And today I'm going to be talking about Tenet. Now, this is another Christopher Nolan movie that I've actually really looked forward to rewatching because the first time I watched this movie, I liked it, but I didn't necessarily love it. And I didn't really necessarily get a lot of enjoyment out of this movie. I felt like it was too confusing, and I felt like, this is a movie I'll probably never rewatch type thing. So I was honestly really looking forward to rewatching it. And on this most recent rewatch, I enjoyed it a little bit more than last time. Now I still have the same issues with the same movie with this same movie. Yeah, the fucking obviously Tanner, Jesus Christ. I still have the same issues with this movie, but we'll get into that later. But surprisingly, I ended up enjoying this movie a lot more this time. But starting off with my positives on Tenet, and my first positive on this movie, and it's a, you know, it's basically common knowledge at this point with all these Christopher Nolan review series is the music throughout this entire movie is awesome. And what I liked about this one is that it wasn't just one piece of it wasn't just one score that I liked. It was like multiple scores throughout this whole movie. It doesn't really focus on one. There's like a lot of scores in this. There's a lot of music in this movie that I really liked. It kind of has this like high tech, you know, kind of Matrix type of feeling to it in a way, which I'm a huge fan of the Matrix, so it kind of spoke out to me a little bit. But the music throughout this entire movie is really good. It has that adrenaline type feeling with when it comes to the action. It also has that you know this spy type feeling to it, which this is what this movie kind of goes for. So the music throughout this entire movie is pretty good, especially in the beginning, especially at the beginning when they're like, doing this mission thing. I forget what it is that they were doing, but that whole opening and that music playing during it, that's when I was just like, oh yeah, this music is gonna be good. And throughout the whole movie, it obviously was, and that was no surprise to me because Christopher Nolan loves to show off the scores that he gets. Since I mentioned it, the action throughout this entire movie is also awesome. So, Christopher Nolan, when it comes to the action, I've never really necessarily said that he's had great action unless you're talking about Inception, because Inception has some of the best action I've seen in my life. No, it's not. Well, it is some of the best action I've seen, but not in my entire life. Like, I'm over exaggerating that on a little bit. But the action in Inception is really good, and debatably the Dark Knight trilogy, which it has its moments, but I feel like it could be better. But the action in this movie is also really good, and what's also nice about it is that it's since there's like a lot of cool sequences where it's told backwards, so like they'll be shooting at each other, but the bullet's like really retracting or whatever, which is a really cool thing that I'll get into later. So, like, the fight sequences are awesome. So, because of that backwards stuff, so that makes the fight sequences even better. And then the action, which it seems to be mostly practical because there's like a point where the car is like rolling on the highway or freeway or whatever, and that's a really fun sequence. And there's like a lot of moments where this movie doesn't really give you a chance to breathe, and it's just all action, and that's kind of something that I really enjoyed. And hell, there isn't just like a bunch of fighting, gun shootouts or car chases that are just action. There's also a lot of cool spy moments of where they're jumping to this other building. They basically slingshot themselves, which is pretty funny to me. And excuse me, and then there's like the interrogation scenes or whatever, and then there's also the scene with like the villain of where he's like threatening to kill basically his own wife if the main character doesn't tell him what he wants to know or whatever. So there's a lot of really cool moments and a lot of very good suspenseful moments within the action. And Chris, like I mentioned, Christopher Nolan hasn't always had the best action in his movies, unless you're talking about Inception and again, debatably the Dark Knight trilogy. So I was really happy to see that the action in this movie was very good and very enjoyable. And I don't want to necessarily say the concept of this movie, but the thing that I really liked about this movie, how there's a lot of sequences that were told backwards, because this whole movie and the concept is basically things being told backwards, and that's kind of like the main thing that they're going for, because Christopher Nolan likes to add these weird, wacky ideas to his movies, so that doesn't surprise me about it. But what I really liked about it is not only is the concept of it cool and everything, but the editing of all of it is also very, very well done. Like the scene where, like, when they're just shooting off the gun, where basically the bullet is going back into the gun. The editing of how they, have the bullet basically come out of the wall or out of the glass or whatever and go back into the bullet. The editing during all of that is very, very well done. Now, I don't know if this movie won an Oscar for best editing, which I think it got nominated that year because I remember watching the Oscars and I saw that it got nominated. I don't remember if it won. I can't remember, or maybe I'm fucking delusional. I don't know. But either ways, the backwards the backwards part of this movie has always been something that I really enjoyed. Even the first time when I watched it, I really enjoyed that. I really thought that was a unique concept, and I really thought that was really really cool. And again, just the editing throughout all of it is also cool. And like I was talking about with the action, even in the action sequences, there's like moments where like you know the main character because he wears like this mask which helps everything get told backwards and he's like driving and then there's like people crashing backwards or him just like him going forward and him having to dodge stuff because it's all going, in the opposite direction of him or whatever. So the editing of all of it is what really stands out to me, and it's also well, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, so the concept of it alone is always going to be great.
Back for you. Smutny was met, Mutney, magnet, me, Smutney, there,
But now moving on to my mixed aspects, and I only have one. My one mixed aspect of this movie is its story. Now, I don't think the story is of in and of itself is bad or, terribly written or anything like that. I just feel like this story is just generic. This is a story that I have seen multiple times in many different spy movies. Hell, especially recently. I just got done not rewatching. I just got done watching all of the Sean Connery James Bond movies and I did an entire review series on that. And watching all of those movies back to back to back for I think there's like 7 of them if I'm not wrong. I watched 7 of those movies and they were basically all the same thing. And to watch this movie, this is a story that I have already seen for a spy movie. Now, now I will give credit where credit's due. Christopher Nolan does what he does best, and he tries to make it interesting to where it isn't generic. Movies like Memento or Inception or whatever. It's movies like you've seen, whether it's a revenge tale, a heist movie, and this is a spy movie, and he adds his type of his flavor to it, I guess I could say, of trying to make it interesting, where he adds the concept of things being told backwards. He does try to make it interesting and not trying to make it so generic. However, even with that being added to it, and even with that Christopher Nolan feel to it, this is a story that I have seen multiple times, and this is a mission that I've seen multiple times. And hell, not even in James Bond. You can watch Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, hell, probably even John Wick to an extent. But now moving on to my negatives. And my one negative, and it's basically my entire issue with this movie is very, very confusing for my taste. Now, when I first watched it, I didn't really understand what was going on at all. I remember when I first watched it, I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. There's points where I was just like, what? This is a movie that you really got to pay attention to. Like, if you look away, like if something like a weird noise happens in your house, and you look away to see what it was, and you come back, something else is going on, and then they're talking about something, you're like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Type thing. And Christopher Nolan has always had his movies to where maybe there's a bit of a confusion to it, whether it's Inception, Memento, or I don't know, some of his early work mostly, and hell, even Interstellar to a point. But for me, I've always really understood Christopher Nolan's movies, especially Inception. A lot of people are like, I don't understand Inception. It's really too confusing. That's why I couldn't get into it. But I'm always one of those people. I'm like, hey, I understand why it can be a little confusing, but if you really look at it this way or whatever, it's fun and I really enjoy it. That's how I've always viewed Inception, and hell, even Memento. That movie's just confusing because you don't know which scene goes where, and you basically rewatch a bunch of scenes that you already saw, and then you watch a scene that basically leads up to this moment, and then you're like, oh, where the fuck is this? So Christopher Nolan has always had confusion in his films, and but for me personally, I can always understand it, and I can always get past it and be like, oh, okay, I understand it here and there. But this one, I could not understand whatsoever. There's points where they're trying to explain of what the hell is going on. There's certain scenes that are written so weird that like you don't completely understand it. Like there's moments when I was watching like with the main character that's played by Denzel Washington's son, and then there's moments like with Robert Pattinson when he's talking about what he wants to do or whatever, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And even now I'm kind of struggling to give examples because like I don't know if there was something there I missed or something like that.
I can't take it anymore!
And you know, and what kind of hurts the movie a little bit too is that maybe even if you're not a Christopher Nolan fan and you're just watching, and if you're just trying to watch this movie as is, you might not even enjoy it. Like this is a movie where I think you have to be a Christopher Nolan fan to like this, or even try and give it a shot, because that's how this movie works. And hell, even on my second watch of this movie, this is my second time watching this movie. I still don't completely understand it. So this is a movie to where it would probably take you at least 3 to 4 times to fully understand it, or hell, maybe even five. I don't know. I don't know if I can know how many times you got to rewatch this movie to fucking understand it. I'm not gonna rewatch it anytime soon, but this is not gonna be a movie I ever rewatch a whole bunch because of that confusion. Now, is it a fun movie and is it good? Yeah, I really enjoy this movie, but the confusion part takes you out of it. And like I just mentioned, it would probably take you a lot of times to fully understand it by rewatching it, whether that's 4 times, 5 times, 8 times, whatever the fuck. It's probably going to take you a lot. And hell, maybe there's people even out there that'll really enjoy this movie because of its confusion. But me, no. I'm not one of those people. I want to fully understand what the fuck I'm watching. And especially by the time the movie is over, by the time the movie was over, I was left more confused than complete. I felt more like I had more questions than I was satisfied. And I don't want to watch a movie or have a movie be finished with me just asking questions. I want to be satisfied. I want the conclusion to the movie be like, okay, that was good. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. That's a lot of movies for me. That's why I love movies. I've left satisfied. Hell, I could be having a bad day. I could put a movie on and I'll feel satisfied. But in this movie, by the time that those credits start rolling, I just have more questions than answers. And my final negative, and if anything, it's a small one. The villain of this movie, like the story of this film, he's very generic. This is a villain that we've seen time and time again, especially, again, bringing up the Sean Connery and James Bond movies I just watched. Especially compared to them, this is a guy that I've already seen. Now, I do like his actor. His actor's pretty good. I don't remember his name, excuse me. But whenever I see him in a movie, I really enjoy him. Hell, I'm pretty sure he's even in Christopher Nolan's next movie, Oppenheimer. So tells you how good of an actor he is, I guess. But whenever I see this dude, I always really enjoy him, and he's always a pretty good actor. But in this movie, I feel like his villain was just pretty tame. Now, I don't think his performance was bad by any means. Just excuse me. I just think he was just a generic villain. Now he has pretty cool moments where I feel like he has those, really cool villain-like moments where he's pretty intimidating, like the scene where he basically threatens to kill his wife if the main character doesn't give him information he wants. Like that whole scene I really liked, but especially the conclusion of this character, which his wife just ends up killing him. I didn't really like that. I feel like the just to have this movie have not this movie, have this character's ending be by his wife killing him. I mean, I guess that's a cool character arc, but at the same time, I was just like, oh, come on, man, why did it have to be her? Now, she's a pretty interesting character, and maybe I am wrong for saying that it sucked that she did. Maybe it's kind of the point of her character, but at the same time, when I was watching, I was just like, eh. But overall, guys, on this most recent rewatch, I honestly really enjoyed Tenet. Now, it does still have that confusion to where it kind of ruins the movie a little bit for me because when I'm confused, I don't know what's going on. You kind of lose enjoyment. However, maybe there's some people out there that will probably really enjoy this movie and most likely really understand it. And hell, maybe you've already seen this movie a dozen times and you already understand it more than I do. But even just as a generic film and even letting the confusion out of the way, it's a fun little action spy movie that Christopher Nolan still delivers. Now, I don't think it's one of his best movies, but however, this is a movie that I will see be going higher on my Christopher Nolan ranking other than last time. But what do you guys think about Tenet? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Do you actually fully understand this movie and this is one of your favorite Christopher Nolan movies? Let me know in the comments below and we shall talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you love it, subscribe and bell notifications, hit the bell notifications so you will get notified for all of my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, see you all next time.